mean, till now, till I met you, till I, possibly started strength training a little before I met you, I always thought it was for men. Okay. I never even applied my mind. It was not something even I thought had anything to do with women. So tell us, Prashanti, is strength training gender agnostic?
See, until I got in the fitness industry, I was a track athlete. I had absolutely no exposure to the gym, right? And I didn't think strength training was for women either, because my idea of the gym was really annoying, big, sweaty men who are angry all the time, listening to like really heavy death metal music, and big muscles and, taking all kinds of supplements. You make your own assumptions based on the image that the media and general society has portrayed, right? And I stumbled into strength training. And when I started training for myself as a client at another gym, it gained, for me, one of my main goals was to gain weight. I only weighed 40 kilos in my early 20s, and I was a fully grown adult weighing 40 kilos. I had to shop in like the boys section. I wouldn't be able to shop in like the women's section. So my goal, I would not be able to carry my grocery bags. I would not be able to travel comfortably. So one of the goals I set for myself when I started training, I told my coach, I want to be able to flip the bubble top can on my own. And the bubble top can weighs 25 kilos, and I couldn't even imagine lifting it. That was more than half my body weight at that point. So those were the kind of goals that sort of made me realize how important physical autonomy is for women. And there are so many women, we go our entire lives without ever experiencing physical autonomy. And the minute we experience it, I think it's very easy to quickly get greedy for more, right? Hey, if I'm able to lift this, if I'm able to lift one suitcase, can I lift one suitcase and put it in?
So strength training has nothing to do with gender.
Absolutely not. And even as a service provider, even as somebody who's on the other side of the industry, right, where I'm providing strength training and service to other people, when I started in 2012, I had absolutely no women role models to look up to in the industry. I didn't have a career path drawn out for me. It was a very confusing time, but it was also a very exciting time because I could do whatever I wanted to do. And after, this is my 13th year in the industry, and one of the reasons I started Ladies Club, a women's only gym, is because I think there is a certain stereotype attached with who can be a strength coach as a woman and who can experience strength training as a consumer. I think there's a certain assumption that, you have to wear at leisure, you have to look a certain way, you have to live a certain lifestyle. I'm trying to challenge that and say, hey, you don't have to be a certain kind of person to be a strength coach or for you to experience strength training as a consumer. You can still enjoy your ice cream. You can still not drink your whey protein. You can still eat normal food. You can still make so much of the progress and you can experience the benefits from whoever you are right now. Right? You don't have to be a certain kind of person to indulge in strength training.
Wow. Okay, that says it. So it's not just anybody can, it's like everybody must.
Yeah.
Like you said, Prashanti, you are, I think, one of the very, very early professional strength coach, surely in Chennai. And so, like you said, I know I think you created the path for others to follow, which is like, I'm so proud to, even hear that somebody just jumped in there and did it. I think all our women will be very motivated by, how you have approached your profession itself. So, and since you were the person who really pushed it forward, I think I also understand you did a powerlifting competition exclusively for women in Chennai, right? So, can you share your experience? I mean, that powerlifting, the word itself is, I'm like thinking, what do women have to do with it? And you did a competition, powerlifting competition, and were there participants at all to, participate in that? Very exciting to hear. So, can you share your experience with that?
Yeah. Firstly, Rani, I don't know if I should take full credit for creating a path for fit. Like, I think at that point, social media was not such a big deal. So I'm sure other coaches existed, but they just didn't exist in my bubble, right? So I think I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. No, those are my words, not yours.
Yeah. Okay. So powerlifting is a Commonwealth sport. Weightlifting, not to be confused with powerlifting, weightlifting is the Olympic sport, which is the snatch and the clean. And powerlifting is a barbell back squat, a barbell bench press, and the barbell deadlift. All three of which now Rani has done at my gym very well. And so you get 3 attempts at all of these 3 lifts, and you have to do it. You have to do it just once. So lift the heaviest amount of weight you can 3 times, and the person with the heaviest total in each weight category wins. So I was very interested in competing in powerlifting. Right, for me, I'm a very competitive person, and I use that to my advantage very well, I think. So even in track and field, I really like competing, and I like competing on my own and not as a team sport. And I think it's a very introvert suited sport, powerlifting, because even that is a solo sport. So I tried competing. I actively competed 2014, 15, 16. But what I realized, and I qualified for the nationals, I was quite strong in my early 20s. Wow. What I realized though was that the men to women ratio did not make sense. As it is, powerlifting is a very small sport. The government doesn't really allocate too much funds for it. It would happen in a Kalyana Mandapam or in a school. And when they say go warm up for your lifts, the men would get all the weights. The women would be put out in the ground or the parking lot. There would be 10 of us or 5 of us, but we would just be like put out in the sun, and they'll be like, yeah, go. We would never be taken seriously. That really bothered me, and the bureaucracy of these federations really annoyed me because there would be no standard rules or regulations. And a lot of the rules were very unnecessary and archaic. For example, if you're a serious powerlifter who wants to compete at a certain level, then I understand these rules can have some value. But if you're trying to make the sport more accessible to more people, and for a sport that's already not so popular, I would think that is your first step. Get more people in first, and then add multiple barriers to the top level. But it was a very hostile environment that automatically discouraged so many women. We just felt very irrelevant in that circle, right? So in 2019, I decided, why should we depend on these federations? Why don't we start our own powerlifting meet? And whatever you see them doing, whatever you think they can do better, why don't we do it?
Yeah.
So we started our first powerlifting meet in 2019. I think we had about 25 to 30 competitors, which is a lot more than most national meets were getting at that point from the women. Because we were just a more inviting, encouraging environment. We cared that women participated. It was not about, hey, who has the heaviest lift? It was about, hey, how can we encourage women to do this for themselves, right? And it gave the women something to look forward to. They had something to train for. So that was like coaching for that meet. Those 3 months that we trained for it was the gym's atmosphere would be electric. It was amazing. And then the next year got cancelled because of COVID. And then we didn't do the year again. So then we did 2021 was our second meet. No, 2022 was our second meet, and 2023 was our third meet. So we've done 3 editions now. And in 2023, we had over 60 women competing. And that was wild. It was amazing and we had proper judges. We had good. Everybody had something to take away from it, and I got rid of her sari, and she deadlifted 100 kilos, and that sort of encouraged other federations to remove unnecessary. Like now that Auntie is invited to other federations where initially they had rules. But now they're like, okay, you can compete in a SAR. So I'm glad we were able to make some change on a systemic level also.
We've gone this far, and it's amazing, Prashant. So, okay, you found interest, you enjoyed doing this, you came into strength training. Today, are there more women in strength training? How is it for them? What is it like? I mean, I'm sure you are connected with a lot of these women. I'm sure they all look up to you to, learn. And quite some of them, okay, let me not say all of them, quite some of them look up to you because you are a kind of a pioneer in this space, at least in Chennai. So how is it for the other women? Are there more women coming in? Are there many women who are professional strength coach in Chennai, India? How is the scene like?
I think from when I started 2012 to now, there are so many more women. I don't know. I think in 2013, 2014, there was another female gym owner. Unfortunately, I think COVID didn't allow her to continue that business, but it was nice for me to see that there was another female gym owner at that point. Three colleges that offer that as a degree, one of them being Ramachandra. So one of the things I've noticed is even at Strength System, the gym I founded in 2015, we only exclusively hire from our internship process. We have a 2-month internship, and we have a syllabus that we set for that, and we put our interns through that, and only based on that we will offer them a job. And I've noticed that over the years, the number of female interns that we've had has increased. And that itself for me is a very promising sign. It's historically been hard for me to hire female coaches at Strength System, and now I have 2 women coaches, and that itself for me is a big win, right? From being the only woman on the team, of a team that's almost 8 people, to now having 2 women coaches other than me, that itself tells me that the industry has sort of moved forward. I think the same confusions and challenges remain for both men and women in the industry. But I think the network that women have is much lesser than the network that men have. So tomorrow, in fact, I've invited a bunch of women coaches to my gym, and I've said, hey guys, let's just get together and lift. So I'm hoping to create that network. I'm hoping to do something with that as we go further. But tomorrow is the first step to what I'm hoping is something bigger. So I'm having 15 to 18 women coaches come in tomorrow. Some of them are aspiring coaches. Some of them are coaches with a lot of experience. So I'm hoping to create like a knowledge sharing platform and a network where we can learn from each other. And even from a business standpoint, there are some things I've done, made mistakes with. I'm hoping that I can tell these other women who are starting out to say, hey, don't make these mistakes. There's an easier path you can take, or there's a more efficient path you can take. And I'm hoping to create that knowledge sharing platform. Let's see how that goes.
Great. All the very best with that. And so when you're telling me, when you spoke to me now saying that we have added 2 more women to Strength Systems, it means that they also train men, isn't it? It is gender agnostic, is it? So if you are a trainer or a coach, you coach anyone. It could be men, women. Women don't have to coach only women.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So, I mean,
but as a female coach, what I often, in my experience, found that for me, one of the most important things as a coach is to tell women that fat loss is just one aspect of why you train, right? But I find that in the industry, most of the times, even with male coaches, when they look at a woman client, they assume they only want fat loss. So I think women are rarely taken seriously when it comes to strength training goals, and are often sort of forced to go the fat loss path because the general perception is that women only want to look better. So when somebody comes to me, I never talk about fat loss. I tell them fat loss is a separate thing. That is, it has so much to do with nutrition, calorie deficit, all of that. But that's not the focus here. Here the focus is getting stronger. We're building muscle. We're building autonomy. Yeah, we're training to have an improved relationship with our body. We're training for longevity. So I think one thing that I wish changes when more women come into strength training as a coach is that women get taken more seriously as a consumer, and we are not told that fat loss is our only path. So that way, I'm hoping that more women change that narrative, and women understand women better when it comes to goals and all of these things. And there's no shaming of like even me. I've never weighed above 50 kilos in my life, and when I hire other male coaches, they would assume my goal is fat loss. It's never been fat loss. I want to get stronger. They will never ask me how much do you want to bench press. I mean, they would ask me that, but with a man, that conversation would end there. It would never go into fat loss. And I'm hoping that more women in the industry were able to change that narrative.
I mean, so interesting, right? Like, of course, men also, so many men have, if I may call it, weight issues. And, but somehow those questions are not directed at them when they come to a strength training center. It's like really interesting to hear that. And friends, I just want to also add here that Prashanti 12 years back co-founded Strength Systems, which is a very,
9 years ago.
Okay, 9 years ago. And it is a very popular, strength training gym. My daughter has been going there for, from the time I think she came to Chennai, she got into this. And I think for the last so many years she has been training there, and she's such a confident person. Now she's like, Amma, I will lift it for you, and she'll just lift the body and she'll just walk. It feels so good, right? So she is. I think you're the first woman to find, or whatever you call it, a strength training gym. Am I right?
No, I think in 2013 there was another coach called Jyotsna John who was it was just her. She didn't even have a co-founder. She started the unit. Maybe after that, that was an outdoor boot camp, but I still count it as a fitness business. So
right, but a proper gym along, you co-founded with another person, and it's a very popular place, people. And today she has this ladies club, which is a cool name. And I recently joined, and I'm having fun there. I can tell you, I'm really having fun there. And so that's an interesting thing to learn, is like, we are foraying into new areas, which is a very good thing, right? So I'm happy about that. So now, see, IndePenn has a lot of women members who have been on a career break and are now looking to get back to work. And we always tell our women, right, you were doing something when you started your career, because it may not have been because that's what you wanted to do, right? Like you said, journalism. It was something that one is at that point you thought was interesting, or at that point that's what you got, or somebody told you do this. And in the campus, you were placed in a certain company, which was a good company. So you just decided to go. But when you're getting back to work after a break, you have the option to decide what you want to do. Now you can take your time, think about it, and then, take that step, right? So I want to ask you, Prashanti, can this be an option for our women who are now on a career break and want to get back to work? Can becoming a strength training coach, can that be an option for them?
Yeah, I think the way I would look at strength training is, as long as you're interested in teaching somebody something, I think teaching is what is key.
Okay.
Because I find that a lot of people who really like working out think that fitness is a career for them, but they don't realize that you working out, you training for yourself is very different than teaching other people. So I think as long as you are somebody who's inclined towards teaching, inclined towards building a long-term relationship with somebody, then being in the fitness industry, it's a service industry like any other service industry. That itself is a good place to start from. But like with any other industry, since you're working with the human body, there are many things that can go very right. There are many things that can go very wrong. So I think what I would recommend is go join an internship. There are multiple internships in all cities in Chennai now. Certifications are very easy to get and think, you can do a 2-day certification and think that you know everything and have all the tools to coach somebody. I think that's a very flawed approach because it doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of, what you need to have in terms of skills and knowledge to coach somebody effectively and effectively for a long time, right? It's not come get fit for 3 months and then I let go of. How do I keep this safe, interesting, and effective for you if you choose to train with me for the next 10 years, right? So I think a lot of it comes, it's like the medical industry. You have to keep upgrading yourself. You have to keep looking at research. A good chunk of my time is spent on what are the things I need to change my mind about, what are the things I need to learn. So as long as you're somebody who's constantly involved in learning, if you're curious, and if you like to teach, the fitness industry can be a great industry to start. But I would recommend, along with the certification, find an internship to see if it is something you like to do, to see if it's a good fit for your current lifestyle and abilities and interests. And then, like any other industry, it is very easy to build our way up, and it's very easy and it's very, you can make a career out of it. You can make a living from it. It might, like with lawyers and doctors, the more experience you have, the more you can, there are more opportunities for you. So it's harder in your intern and, junior trainer stages. But as long as you put in the work, as long as you keep upskilling yourself, it's a great industry to be part of.
Prashanti, in any industry, while you're talking about, you'll have to keep upgrading and, upskilling, that has become the norm in every industry. I think 60% of the women that come to us after career break are from the IT industry. And for them to get back, unless they do a course from Coursera, Udemy or whatever, you have to upskill yourself because technology is like, changing. Even as a chartered accountant, it is mandated for us. If I'm a practicing chartered accountant, I should have done a minimum number of so many hours of training, attended some program, done some certification, all that. And today that has become mandatory in every field. So I think fair enough that this also is talking about that. So I think we can look at if many women show interest, maybe we can do a separate workshop to tell them how they can start, what they can do, how to go about it and all that. If I see interesting thing that we heard and we would like to know about it, we can surely, do something. And all those who are here, please put in your questions into the Q&A box, so that once we are done with it, we can start asking questions that you have put in there. So please start putting in your questions, all of you, on anything, in regard to fitness and the industry or even personal. Any question, I'm sure Prashanti will be happy to answer. And this is a fantastic opportunity for you to ask these questions because we have her captive with us till 12 o'clock and, you can hear from her. So please do put in your questions. My next question, Prashanti, following what I asked you about, taking this as a profession for women. Of course, the very next important question would be, is strength training as a profession, is it a commercially good option? Can we make good money? Can we grow professionally? Are there, opportunities for us to take it to the next level? Can we make good money as a strength trainer?
I think that's two parts to that question, right? One, what does good money mean to me is very different than what good money means to you, right? So for me, I have when we opened Strength System, one of the first rules that I put was that I never want to be a multi-center gym. I want to be a one-center gym. I'm never going to franchise. I'm never going to start a second location. I will remain a one-center gym for as long as this business exists. And that's the same thing with Ladies Club also, that I will remain a one-center gym. Because for me, quality control is a lot more important than, having multiple locations to take care of. And with an industry that's already quite unorganized, it's very hard. Like, I would never hire somebody from the industry just because they have so many years of experience. For me, I would be like, okay, how open-minded are you that anything there is to learn about the fitness industry, you can learn. But if you're an open-minded person who's willing to admit that there are certain things that science will evolve about, and you should be willing to change your mind without letting your biases um, affect your decision-making capacity. Are you willing to teach people? Are you willing to constantly, there are, even with Udemy and those certifications, other than that, I think one big advantage that me and the team at Strength System, right, we've made learning a part of our culture. We learn on our own. Like we sit and study, we spend a good amount of time studying. And I think when somebody asks us a question, we're able to answer that question in a way that makes sense to them, right? I'm never going to talk about the glenohumeral joint to you, but if you come to me with shoulder pain, I can answer that in a way that has value to you. So I think as long as you're good at your job, there are amazing number of opportunities for you to make money. I personally chose not to go the big corporate way, but now there are multiple big businesses that are funding gyms, that have multiple branches, that have multiple. Strength System is a very strictly no hierarchy, one level business, right? So here I bank the only kind of person if they contribute to Strength System will contribute back to them. That is the relationship we have. But there are other gyms that have a very clear cut hierarchy process, right? You want to make more money, you put in more hours, you will grow up the ladder. So even if you're somebody who wants to make money but still have like a 9 to 5 job, somebody who's like, hey, I want some autonomy in the kind of people I want to work with, in the kind of hours I work on. There are opportunities for that also. And now with online coaching, through Zoom, and I think COVID really
This term career break. So, which is our, like, anybody says career break, antenna goes up. I mean, how is it when you take a career break, like, anybody who's in strength training, because this is a physical activity that you do on a daily basis and all that. So, when you take a career break, what happens and how does it impact?
I think for me, it was a bit different. I had a very specific reason for why I wanted a career break. Since I've been in the fitness industry since 2012 and started Strength System in 2015, I've woken up at 5 a.m. every single day. So mainly I wanted a break from waking up at 5 a.m. and our jobs are very physically intense, right? The 4 hours that we coach in the morning at Strength System, we would get on average 10,000 steps. This is before 10 a.m. on most days. And outside of that, there's still the running of the business, there's still the operations and that side of things. And we are in this industry because we love working out. So I would want to do my own workouts too, right? So I was just very burnt out physically. And I wanted a break. I wanted to be kind to my body for a few months. So my goal was to wake up after 8 a.m. every day, have breakfast, and read the newspaper. That was my primary goal. Yeah, and I got to do that for a year. And but I also used the 1 year to sort of think about. I networked a lot in the last year. I made many new friends in the fitness industry. I will soon be starting a podcast. I just recorded my first episode. So there are multiple things and I will start a fitness newsletter. I sort of realized that there's a good way for me to connect my journalism roots to fitness. So I'm working on I want to do a physical newsletter that I can have at Ladies Club and people can pick up, which will also have an online version, of course. So I think the 1 year for me was about taking a look at everything I've learned from running a fitness business and how do I improve on that in my new business. And I'm still a partner at Strength System. It's my first baby. It will always be my first baby. But I'm not involved with it operationally anymore because the team is doing an amazing job. I have three other partners who I run it with. Two of them are still operationally involved. And I have a great team. So they took care of it. I would just go in there for my own workouts and say bye and come back. It's still a great place to work out at. So a lot of my 1 year off involved just a lot of thinking. I got mentored by a coach from the US called Chip Conrad, and he sort of written a lot about the fitness industrial complex, and he talks about the intersection between capitalism and the fitness industry. And he's sort of very similar in his approach to fitness, where he's like, I don't want to make this about hierarchies and money making. This that will dilute what we're trying to do in terms of what we're offering to people. What we're offering essentially is health, and we cannot corporatize that. So he sort of, I get on a call with him every month, and I sort of use him as a sounding board to discuss my ideas and sort of get validation mostly. So all of that is what has culminated to Ladies Club right now. So whether it's the number of hours I choose to work every day or the kind of people I want to work with, which is very clearly women, right? I think the industry serves men very well already. So how do we serve women better?
The other 50%.
Yeah. How do we? I still get questions. These are questions I have not had to answer in many years. Questions like, will my uterus fall out of my body if I lift weights? And these are questions, these are fears propagated by gynecologists, right? It's very irresponsible, I think. I'm not generalizing it, but there's still fair amount of misinformation. And I think there are a lot of beginner women who still need to experience strength training. So I have no interest in working with people who any coaches can work with. I want to work with people who are very nervous and intimidated by gyms and gym culture and exercise culture. And in the last 1 year, I've realized that's who I care about working with the most. And that is what I will be focusing on for the next few years. Until my next career break, I think.
Awesome. So you took your career break seriously and you started working on planning what you're going to do next. So that's also a lesson I think all of us need to learn is you can have a break. Nothing wrong with that. How are you using your break for your progress? How are you applying your mind? How are you thinking about you? Don't forget about yourself when you're on a break is something that I think they can learn from you. We do have quite some questions. Before my last question, let me take the questions and then I will come back to my last question. So the first question is from Anjana Jaishankar. She's asking, is strength training good for women going through menopause?
Yeah, strength training is definitely good for women in any stage of their lives, whether you're menstruating or going through menopause or approaching menopause. It's in fact, like once you hit menopause, your muscle actually starts to decline. The rate of progress, the rate at which you lose muscle sort of accelerates. So for you to preserve muscle, for you to continue keeping your joints healthy, menopause doesn't really change how you respond to strength training. You still respond the same way. So it's never too late to start, whether you're menopausal or perimenopausal or premenopausal. Yesterday was the right time to start strength training. So definitely start strength training.
Great. The next question is, what is the difference between gym and yoga in terms of strengthening?
Right. So with strengthening, especially when you're talking in terms of muscles, what is most important is this concept called progressive overload, right? So the one main difference between, as long as you have some external resistance, firstly, your body itself offers resistance against gravity. But at some point, your body weight is, if you're 50 kilos, you're 50 kilos permanently. So what force you're putting on your body will remain 50 kilos. So what strength training, what gym, it doesn't have to be a gym, but what weight training does is it offers you the opportunity to use different tools. So I think yoga can be limiting in terms of strengthening. There are multiple other benefits to yoga, But I think using resistance in terms of weights or resistance bands can be more valuable in being able to progressively overload your muscles. So, you can start with 3 kilos today, then you can go to 5 kilos tomorrow, then you can do 7.5 kilos next week. That's one of the things I keep encouraging you also in the gym, right? Do you want to try a heavier weight? It doesn't have to be today, but as you commit to this journey, over time, you have the opportunity to keep overloading your muscle, which is one of the main mechanisms your body adapts to really benefit from strength training. So that's the one primary difference between. I personally have never done yoga or not learned much about yoga, so I don't know enough to comment about it. But from a physiological standpoint, this is the primary difference.
I can just add to that. I have been doing yoga for a few decades. And what I found with yoga is it gives you flexibility. The body is able to be flexible and it calms your mind and, gives you a kind of balance. It makes you feel good. In fact, it was my yoga instructor who told me start strength training. I have an amazing yoga instructor. So she was the one who encouraged me to get into, because there were some positions that I was not able to handle. So she said strength training will help you do that. So that's my experience. The next question is from Annapurni. She is asking which one happens first, fat loss or muscle toning. Please explain how crucial it is for women going through perimenopause.
Sorry, I have to quickly change position. So, especially if you're a beginner, right? Any new stimulus, what happens first is that your nervous system starts adapting to it. So these are called newbie gains. So this can go on from the first month till 6 months or 9 months or 1 year, depending on where you are on the starting point. So fat loss is only the biggest myth that my industry has told people is you have to exercise for fat loss. No physical activity solely will promote fat loss. Fat loss primarily happens from eating lesser, being on a caloric deficit, eating good quality nutrients, and exercise, especially strength training, just supports that fat loss journey. So when you're strength training, you build muscle, and building muscle is a very tedious process. It's not, people think, oh, na gym kona, I will bulk up. I wish that was true. I've been trying to build muscle for the last 10 years. It's extremely hard. And especially for men itself, it's hard to build muscle. You have to eat a lot of protein. You have to commit to many hours of training. And it's much harder for women to build muscle. So that's not a worry people should have anymore. So when you're on a calorie deficit to lose weight, when you're supporting that with strength training, you're also simultaneously building muscle. So when you're building muscle, you will be able to lose fat at a slightly faster pace. When you have more muscle, your body's metabolism is at a slightly higher level. Of course, I'm overgeneralizing it. All of this are very complex biological processes. But in general, being on a caloric deficit and building muscle and getting stronger is the best recipe for fat loss.
Great.
But no kind of physical activity will solely promote fat loss that is sustainable and long term. You might lose a lot of weight from doing a lot of cardio, but the minute you stop doing that, all of that weight will come back very easily. So strength training will just allow you to build muscle and lose weight at a very sustainable pace.
Okay. Thank you. So the next question is, what basic exercises would you suggest for working mothers? This is from Bemila Jnanaprakasham.
I think for anybody, I would imagine the working mother tag is because they have limited time. So for anybody with limited time, I would assume I would say do any full body strength training program. Maybe what I can do after this, Rani, is put together a full body program and send it to you so we can email it to people who attended this webinar. I could hyperlink the exercises, so with the exercise instructions. So generally, so it's hard for me to answer this over a webinar. But if you could just Google a full body strength training program, which uses dumbbells or bands, you can invest in a pair of dumbbells at home, and you could, with strength training, something is always better than nothing. So even if you can just do 10 minutes, you pick 1 or 2 exercises and do that for 10 minutes a day and start there, you will still benefit from doing that, right? So I don't think it has to be a perfect 3 days a week, 1 hour, 10 exercises. That's not the only way to benefit from strength training. Something is always better than nothing. Even if you do one exercise once a week, that will still be a good start than doing nothing. So find out how much you can commit to it and start from there and then build up. Don't wait for everything to align and then, start.
Yeah. Like everywhere, I think at least here specifically, consistency is the key, I guess.
I tell people do this for 2 years without any expectations. And at the end of the 2 years, you are a different person physically and mentally.
Absolutely.
But you commit to 2 years of this without expecting quick results. That is the magic of strength training. It's like putting money in the bank. The longer you do it, the more you benefit from it.
I have seen that with my daughter. I mean, she just did it. She just went on. She didn't think about, I want to do this, I want to do that. Possibly initially she was, I don't know if she was even thinking of weight loss that much. It was more strengthening herself is what I think she was thinking of. But today she's very toned, very, and she will not let go of that for anything. I can tell her anything. Those 3 days, those 3 hours are hers. I mean, she will protect it like how a tiger will protect her cubs, that protective of that time of hers. So once you keep at it, I think you really start enjoying it. It's so exciting. I can feel that now when I'm able to lift something on my own without feeling, oh, my back, this, that, and all, it feels liberating. It feels liberating, right? So this next question, I think it's a very interesting question because I think we can talk about it. So nowadays, a lot of gym and Zumba training centers just with minimal knowledge on fitness, which in turn affects the trainees mostly in the knee. How do we identify a quality gym of Zumba or Zumba? Before you answer the question, I know 2 days back somebody came to our gym and said, my knee, I went somewhere, my knee is, injured, please help and all that.
Yeah, we deal with this a lot. And, without hating on my industry, because I'm sure every industry has, every unorganized industry has their share of loose ends. Yeah. But I think one thing that I wish more people did was be more, start critically thinking for yourself. And anytime if somebody's promising you something that sounds too good to be true, for example, 10 kilos in 1 month, that's not possible. Or, let's run this marathon in 6 weeks. Anytime somebody promises you something that sounds too good to be true, that would be the time for you to start critically thinking and ask, okay, if nobody else is able to deliver this, how is this person going to deliver it? Right? So I think you should be able to look for people who are selling you realistic fitness, something that doesn't require too much from you in terms of time or effort or money or any of those things. They shouldn't promise you take all of these supplements, you will lose weight or you will get stronger or your hair will grow back or whatever it is that they promise these days. Our industry is promising all sorts of things. And nothing should feel like a gimmick. They shouldn't say this one. So first, is this person listening to you? Are they listening to what you want? Are they listening to your experiences? Are they listening to your history? Are they respecting that? Are they taking that seriously? And is the solution they're offering in line with what they've collected from you first? And if you say, I can only train 3 hours a week, and they say, no, that is not enough, you have to train 6 hours a week, run away. Because if somebody doesn't know how to make fitness fit into your life, then they are probably not good at what they do. So no grand promises, no one solution. One of the most common things I see now is ice bath. Everybody is offering ice bath as part of their service. but there is absolutely no evidence to show that ice bath does anything, right? It's just a gimmick. So, every year there'll be a new gimmick. So stay away from gimmicks, stay away from grand claims, stay away from people who tell you they know about you better than yourself. You know yourself best. So give them the information they need to know. If you say, I can only work out 30 minutes, you know better about your body than what they know, right? So these are some things to look for generally when identifying a good service provider.
Thanks, Prashanti. I'm sure that helped. Okay, there are 2 more questions and we have only 5 minutes. So I'll quickly ask those questions and I'll close with my question. So Jainendra Kumar wants to ask, as compared to burpees and squat, which one is best for cardio?
Neither should be used for cardio. Cardio, I would say a brisk walk or a slow jog or playing a sport or swimming or something like that would be more suited for cardiac health. Specifically, if the question is for fat loss, then I would say both of these all of these are context dependent. It depends on how you use it in a program. So both can be equally good or equally ineffective depending on how it is used. But generally, like a brisk walk or playing a sport or swimming or dancing or something like that can have a better impact on cardiac health.
Okay, I hope you got your answer, Jainendra. The next question is from Anuradha Harish. Is there any right time of the day for strength training, or is it any time of the day? I think I asked you this question when I came in, right?
Any time of the day that works for you. The other thing with strength training, right, there are absolutely no rules, right? If there's an exercise you don't like, you don't have to do it. If there is a particular time of day you want to train, you can train at that point. So if something doesn't work for you, then it's useless, as useful as it can be for somebody else. So there are absolutely no rules to this. That is one thing I wish more people realize when they approach fitness coaches.
Right. Okay, so the last question, it's a you can do what you want, you can do for how long you want, you can do whenever you want. So it is when it is that flexible, and why it should be adopted as part of one's routine.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of social conditioning that is a big part of why women generally don't seek strength training, right? We are always considered the frailer sex, the weaker sex. So it's just not something that was offered to us growing up. And this is something I told you when we spoke earlier, that there's the exposure that men have to gyms, and like a father will always take a son to a gym and say, that's an opportunity for bonding for them. That is never a part of a woman's life. So I think one big reason women are hesitant is because we lack information. And now there is so much data and information and service providers who are offering strength training to women. So there is no reason for us to hesitate anymore. Don't be afraid of lifting weights. Don't go to a gym and say, I will only lift 1 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilos. Your handbag is heavier than that. Your child is heavier than that. And remove the mental block associated with weights. Weights are not women when they say, I want to look toned. What they mean is, I want to build muscle and lose fat. That is what a toned look means. When we say toned, we are okay with it. When we say build muscle, suddenly all our social conditioning sort of pops up and we don't like that word, right? So I think a big mental shift needs to happen for women, and you need to trust that strength training is truly good for you. You need to trust that building strength, building muscle, and something you said about yoga earlier, right? Even as somebody who's never done yoga, and at the gym we don't do stretches, if you notice, strength training can also improve and maintain flexibility. I have not stretched since 2000. I can do most things that a person, not from a skill standpoint, but from a flexibility standpoint. You can build flexibility from strength training also. So it is very bang for your buck in terms of time commitment, effort commitment. It doesn't have to be endless number of hours for you to see results. You know, we're never panting, we're never out of breath.
Yeah.
We do it at a very easy pace. We do it. It allows us to build up to a capacity at a pace we are comfortable with.
Absolutely.
Our bodies are comfortable with. So I think these are all very, and of course, everybody knows the importance of physical activity. So there is only, if you have limited time for physical activity, strength training is very bang for your buck, right? You can build capacity, you can build autonomy, you can build muscle, your joints can be healthy, your bones can be healthy, you're delaying things like arthritis. My mother has developed arthritis in her knee, but she still squats, she still deadlifts, she can do jumps. So strength training, I've seen my parents reverse age in front of my eyes, right? And that comes just from strength training. And even with myself, I find that I'm healthier in my 30s than I was in my 20s. And I think that's just from having put in the time with training. It's the most bang for your buck use of your time and money.
Thanks so much, Prashanti. It was such an energizing session. I felt like I strength trained for this last 1 hour.
Strength training for the brain.
Yes, and everybody who's listening, everybody who's here, you might want to start strength training. You might want to become a strength trainer. Anything. This is something, a new opportunity has opened up. I would say you should think about it. If not, be a strength trainer. For sure, I think strength training is for each and every one of us. And considering, somebody was telling me today when I told I'm going to talk to Prashanti, they said, we don't pull water out of well anymore and all that. So it is important we don't sit and do the article and, take up strength training to ensure that those muscles are, functioning and, we are using those muscles, right? So I hope this session was useful for all of you all. Thank you so much, Prashanti. I know you're very busy. Thank you for carving this time out for us and, talking to us, and looking forward to whatever you're going to share for all our girls. And if anybody's showing interest in wanting to be a trainer, I'm going to reach out to you again to help us.
Thank you, Rani. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure. So all of you have a great weekend and enjoy, have fun, stay healthy. Bye.